Hello and welcome to our voices. Today we'll be talking about cultivating black excellence within our own youth, featuring the Hidden Genius Project from the Bay Area. So stay tuned.
So I'm Kyron Loggins. I am a member of the Hidden Genius Project's fourth cohort from Oakland. I finished my time as a student there when I was 14 in 2016. I'm 18 now. I'm a freshman at San Jose State University. And I found out about this organization over Facebook from my mother. And she was super inspired. Like the moment she saw it, she just thought it was for me. And so for like 3 years, she was trying to get me like to look into it, to apply. And like when you're a child, you don't want to give up your summers to go be somewhere doing anything but sitting in bed and eating. So I was refusing for so long until one year she just took it out of my hands and it wasn't my option anymore. And she made me go to the interview day. And so it was just up from there.
Okay. Um, my name's Avon Keith, and the cohort that I'm in is Rich 2. And I found out about, my bad, I found out about the program from my mom. She saw it. I think she saw it on Facebook as well, or from a friend. And when she instantly saw it, she was like, yeah, you should go here. The thing is that it was a kind of a joke because my mom, when I was 5, my mom would call me Baby Genius. And so the Hidden Genius Project, it was like, she said, it fits in. It's like, it's supposed to be here. So when I went there and I enjoyed the whole atmosphere, and I was glad that I went through the program, I sometimes miss it just because of the environment that you're surrounded in.
Yeah, definitely. My name is Brandon Bazil, but at the project I go by Pierre. And I found out about it. I actually heard about it twice. Once before, like I was old enough to join, and then my mom came and was like, "Hey, like you're finally old enough. Let me just sign you up." And at the time, like I didn't link the two together because my friend told me about it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, they pay you to like learn the code and stuff." And I was like, "Dang, that sounds hecka cool." But then when I heard about it the second time, and they were like, "Oh, but we're gonna have to take 2 of your summers away," kind of like Kyra, and I was like, "Oh, nah, that's kind of tough." But just like him, my mom was like, "Nah, you're doing it," and I turned out to I enjoyed it so much, and I think it's probably one of the best experiences I've had. So
It forces you into a leadership role. I mean, we all engage in like our own kind of student government within the Hidden Genius Project. So there's leadership in that way. But I think that I'm a naturally outspoken person. So I'm not going to say I went in being super shy or underspoken because that just has never been me. But it definitely brings out a side of you that is more confident in your ideas, is better at articulating your ideas, and is more prepared to share them with people because there's no way to do the 2 summers without engaging those skills. So I think I definitely grew as a leader in terms of just being able to like work in teams and being able to like communicate myself to my peers without feeling like I have to sugarcoat how I say things or learning how to say things to people when you're working in a team. I think I just built definitely like my team skills and leadership in the sense of working in a unit versus leadership in the sense of leading other people and telling them what to do.
As far as me, what I kind of did or what I was doing during the program, I was outspoken, but at the same time, I tried not to speak too much because I noticed that over the years that I do that a lot. So coming into the program, I just wanted to sort of hang back, try to give other people a chance to speak. And that was the main thing for me. I was always outspoken and kind of with like Kyron, it was, something that you're used to. I probably say the main thing that I took away from the program was being more having some more self advocacy because in the beginning, it was always hard for me to just advocate for myself. I would always like be outspoken, but that was just one thing that I couldn't do. So taking that from the program was very important for me.
yeah, I can definitely relate to both of you guys on that. When I went in, by the way, I forgot to mention I was in the second Richmond cohort, so I was with Avon, and when it came to down to like leadership discussions, I think we definitely did participate in the conversations more than some of our peers. So with that whole like holding back thing and letting other people speak, it was very important because we didn't want to dominate like the discussion. We always wanted to uplift our brothers and make sure that their voices were heard because that's what it's all about. It's about making sure everybody participates, everybody contributes, so everybody can learn from each other. And I think every like what's cool about the Hidden Genius project is like our idea of brotherhood and kind of how like everybody who joins is very different and they all bring in something different to the table. And so I feel like if you just let yourself be open to learning new things, it's a very life-changing experience. And I think I've come out to be more confident. And like Avon said, I just advocate more for myself and for my community.
I think it's a really unique space because it's rare to be, especially depending on your background, like just in a group of so many young Black men for a reason other than a sport, really. Like you rarely will see that, even in diverse cities like Oakland. And for me, like growing up in kind of like a more private schooling experience, um, I didn't have a lot of people that looked like me in the things that I was doing at school. And I kind of wasn't represented by everybody that I saw around me as my peers. So it was really different. It was a really different experience to be able to join like a community of people who like look like me, come from similar backgrounds as me, or like come from wildly different backgrounds, but still have the common experience of like being an African American man in this country and in the world in general. So it's definitely there's something to be said for like having manifesting that brotherhood that I don't feel like you can really get too many other places outside of like maybe a sports team, but even that is for like its own different purpose. So I feel like I definitely built from like being around all my brothers in the project, and like I still talk to most of the people from my cohort, and that's 4 years ago. And I don't even talk to some of the people I went to high school with, and I graduated last year. So I do think like the it definitely builds a really strong bond, and I think that's part of why the leadership component is so important and why I do feel so much more confident like articulating myself is because you do end up in a community full of people who like are now being socialized to like support you and like to see you as a comrade and an ally versus like a crab in a barrel. So it's definitely like a different type of atmosphere that I think you benefit from being a part of.
Definitely agree. And for one thing that I want to say is that it's not a teacher and student mentality, where in schools the teacher is kind of telling you completely what to do. And the Hidden Genius Project is nothing like that at all. They want you to make sure that you and them have sort of equal respect and this kind of give and take, you know. They never want it to be where it's just them teaching you. They want to learn from you guys want to learn both ways. And that was the one thing I enjoyed most about it is that there was a lot of things we learned from like Pierre can probably second on this with David, who was one of our instructors. We learned a lot from him, but he also learned a lot from us. So I enjoy that. And especially going back to what Kyron said about sometimes being the only black kid in your school, which I've experienced almost my whole life. So when coming into the Hidden Genius Project, it changed basically everything for me because I got to make more friends that looked exactly like me and had the same mindsets and wanted to succeed. And you know, you don't see that in a lot of us in society, and I'm glad that we're able to change that and make it look different. They hit us with a lot of stereotypes, and I'm glad that we're able to prove that that's not true.
Definitely, definitely. And I mean, I'm right with y'all. Like, I've gone to private school my whole life. The representation of, people like me was always on the lower side, you know what I mean? So coming into the project was like, I mean, if I were to say one word, I'd say it's a lot of fun. Like, I just look back and we did a lot of work. We had a lot of serious discussions, but it was all real fun, like just connecting with my brothers. And yeah, I mean, I think one thing about the brotherhood is like, even like I have really good friends that aren't black, but like when you want to talk about Black issues, I feel like talking to it with Black people is just like it's more comfortable. You know what I mean? I don't feel comfortable reaching out to some of my other friends, before the project, being like, "Oh, what do you think about, mass incarceration towards, Black people?" Like I'm not gonna do that. But within the space of the Hidden Genius Project, there wasn't anything that I felt like I couldn't bring up or something that we couldn't discuss. And I think that was really powerful.
I want to actually add more on that. Um, Definitely, especially like the situation that's going on right now with George Floyd and everything. In general, when you're trying to talk about a lot of problems that are happening towards us, people feel uncomfortable and don't feel like they should be able to say something about it, or a little too scared because they think it's a touchy subject. That's the thing, though. If you don't talk about these problems, they're not going to get solved at all. So, especially in the Hidden Genius Project, every time we talked about it, I was glad. I still miss the program because of those discussions, because I was able to learn so much.
And like, I guess to tag on to that, um, there's there's something to be said for like safe spaces, and I think that's a large part of what the Hidden Genius Project's magic is like creating a safe space for a group of people who generally I don't think are looked at as people who need like safer spaces to be in, like especially for young Black men. I think that often we're socialized to feel, and society views us as like a group that is really tough and strong and like doesn't have necessarily all the discourse on like their own personal problems. So to come into an environment that encourages that kind of conversation and to be in a group of people who you feel um, like Avon was saying, like comfortable having that conversation with, like feeling like you can talk to them about that versus like Brandon was saying, like being in a group of people who, yeah, you are friends with them, like there's nothing wrong with them, but you're just not, that's just not a conversation you're going to have with them, right?
Because they won't be able to relate to it in the same
Yeah,
way. Especially with
yeah,
the movie Black Panther. Like if you watch the movie, you could get the message, but to some people they wouldn't understand it. They thought it was just a regular superhero movie. But to me, I saw it as just like, wow, just imagine what would have happened if we actually history was changed and we all were still in Africa. What type
yeah,
of technology would have been built, the cities and the countries and just the establishment, how much better it would be. And that's what I always think about. And I enjoy that. And even now, we still have the ability to do that. So that's why I enjoy that movie, because it's just showing Black excellence.
yeah. And it's also, I'm glad you brought that up, because it also like just being a movie in itself with like an almost all Black cast was something like truly beautiful for me to see, especially since it was a superhero movie. And it's like, growing up, this
Didn't
might
have a
seem
lot of
silly,
Black
but like,
superheroes.
exactly. So like Halloween and stuff, I'm like, dang, who am I gonna be? And it's like, well, I don't really look like any of these superheroes. I don't really want to be them. So like, if I was a kid and Black Panther was out, I'd be so ecstatic, but like, I would still dress the
Feel
same
represented,
because
I think is what it is.
exactly,
Yeah.
Mhm.
exactly.
What the Hidden Genius Project does for a lot of like, I mean, me personally, I'll say like I'm not a STEM person, even like before and after the project. I'm not a STEM person. Like I won't probably be a software developer. That's just not me. But for a Black kid, I think going into this who like really sees that as their field, to see so many Black men who are working toward that and like are successful in that and have like accomplishments there, like the same thing as somebody who wanted to be a superhero for Halloween, seeing Black Panther. Like you see all these people, and I think that's part of what makes like people come back. Part of what makes it feel like such a family is like you finally get to see people that like I feel like you hear about all the time. Like, oh yeah, they're Black scientists, they're Black this, they're Black that. But like in a lot of communities, it's mythical. It's almost like a unicorn. Like you're not going to see them in person. So I think to like be around these people who are like committed to making sure like you see that and you are represented by that. Like you go to Facebook and you see these Black people at Facebook. You go to Google and these Black people greet you. I think that's like a really powerful experience.
Definitely. And
Definitely.
I think that because we don't have a lot of those examples, a lot of Black kids push towards the sports because they see the Michael Jordan and the LeBron James and the Kobe Bryants of the world, and they think, well, yeah, that's my example. That's where I get my inspiration from. But they don't see a lot of Black people who are doing technology. They don't see them doing film. Like they may notice Tyler Perry, but that's not going to always be in their head, you know. So I'm glad that I was able to go through the program and see all those experiences, because you really realize that you're not just entertainment for society. That's not what we are. We're not just rap, sports, or movies. We're way much more than that. So that's what I enjoyed.
All right. Well, it's still a work in progress, but you know, when I was going through the project, like right before I graduated, I came up with this app idea called Meal Swap, and it's a long way from being finished for sure. But I think just having the idea is like one of the fruits I'm most proud of out of the Hidden Genius project for myself. First of all, I'll give some background. My family did something called meal swapping for 6 years, and it's pretty much where a group of families from like 3 or 5 families, they get together in their neighborhood and they organize a meal plan for the week. And so pretty much the way it works, for example, there were 3 families in my meal swap group, and my family would cook on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? So we would make, I don't know, fettuccine Alfredo for 3 families, and then we would go and deliver it to them. So the other 2 families wouldn't have to cook for Tuesday and Thursday night. It would take the load off of them, and it would, build our social like network with our neighbors and that. And when I was coming up with my app idea for my app project in the Hidden Genius second summer, I was like, it'd be really cool if there was an app that could facilitate this kind of activity, like anywhere, not just, in my own community, but like in any community. So pretty much the app would facilitate that kind of activity, and it would also help people like lead healthy lives by doing what apps like Blue Apron and what's the other one called? Something Chef, I forget. But like Blue Apron, where it's a meal delivery plan. I wanted to combine those two aspects to create something that was not only community building, but also good for people's health.
I mean, I didn't have maybe one overarching project like Pierre. I would say like I have a bunch of factory projects. Like my work, if we talk about exclusively with the Hidden Genius project through that lens, since I finished in 2016, we really started to grow. I think when we really started expanding into like outreach to different states, like catalyst events and things like that. So I've been participating in those, like taking different trips, whether it be to New Orleans to participate in Colin Kaepernick's Know Your Rights camps and to teach workshops there, or if it's going to London and running workshops with the youth there and running partnerships with different places and different organizations in different spaces. I think mostly, yeah, what I do with the Hidden Genius project now is geared towards either like outreach, expansive, or just towards like I teach during summers. I'll be teaching this upcoming summer's entrepreneurship, leadership, and life skills branches. So most of my work is less project-based, more ongoing work-based as far as it pertains to the community through Hidden Genius. But I have seen them like, we've done some projects together, like Pierre and Denzel were talking about Afrotech. We do different like events like that allow people to kind of branch off and have their own speaking engagements. I did a branch on radical social entrepreneurship this past year. So I think they provide a lot of space for you to kind of pursue the things you want to pursue through the vein of them. And that's kind of what I've been doing with them.
My thing that I had 2 projects. One was created before going into Hidden Genius, and the other was going through it. So the first one that I created before it was Junior Commentators. We spoke about it a little bit before. It's a podcast and it was just designed to help kids with their public speaking, because nowadays a lot of kids can't make a speech, whether it's in front of their class. So especially in front of a group of people, it's definitely very challenging for them. They'll use a lot of sentence fillers, and it makes them look unprepared. I'd probably say the main thing that I wanted to get out of it was just have them be more confident speaking in front of people. And I was able to do that for the first like 2 to 3 years that we were doing it. And it's kind of retired now. But the second project that I have is called Regi, and it was designed to help show your license, registration, and insurance, and it was going to be on your phone just to make it easier for you're getting pulled over by a cop, have them less intimidated by you, and know why police today are a lot more aggressive in a lot of situations, especially in the past current weeks. I've seen the news, and I just wanted to try and prevent that and make the overall relationship between law enforcement and people in society better, because right now, as you can see, it's sort of dividing.
That's interesting because I feel like a lot of people going in, most of their projects are based like community based, like you have people who do neighborhood watch apps and people who do apps like Pierre's, where it's more like focused on building the community. And I think that's like what most of the work people do coming out of it is too. Like I know it's mostly all focused on community outreach. And I think that's what we really want to emphasize when we even are doing like youth education work, is emphasize like how can you build something that like, of course, is profitable to you or maybe like favorable to you and your own personal successes, but also like one is solving an issue for someone and is like two, not creating issues for people. And I think that's like definitely what Pierre and Avon's cohorts got deeper into than maybe mine. But I think that is like the core, the foundation of most everybody's projects.
Yeah, Karen, I'm actually glad you brought that up because well, I have two things I want to add to that about like our projects being community based. I always think to myself like the Hidden Genius Project really teaches us three things. They teach us how to come up with solutions to our problems. They teach us, they give us the tools to, make those solutions reality, which is the programming and the coding. And then the last thing, which I think is the most important thing, is they teach us where to focus our attention, like and how to be like the most effective in our own communities. So like they don't want us to, make an app, make an Amazon, go out, be rich, and then just be rich. They want us to be rich, come back to the community and make sure that we reinvest ourselves from where we started. And so I think, even if your app is like a clothing brand, you know what I mean? And it blows up and it goes crazy. The Hidden Genius Project instills in us like always make sure you come back and serve your brothers a plate of what you got. So that's one thing I wanted to add. But then the second thing is it was the comment that you made about like our cohort diving in a little bit more than yours did, because you were 2 years before us. And now I'm coming back 2 years after I joined, and I'm also a YE for this upcoming summer. And I'm just looking at all the lesson plans and the curriculum that they have prepared for the new geniuses, and I'm like, dang, this is more than I did, and I was just in the project like 2 years ago. And I'm not like jealous or anything. Well, maybe a little bit, but I'm more excited. You know what I mean? Like, I always like to think of of a positive future for this project. And I get really excited when I think, we're expanding to LA this year. And, 10 years from now, we could be all over the nation. And that's something that's really exciting to me.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's the main thing. I'm glad that you guys touched on about the community part, because that was one thing that I feel like that we need more of. So in society, and examples of just people coming back and helping out, like J. Cole and LeBron James are probably like mainly the focal points. Those people who try to push forward. LeBron James with I Promise, and just J. Cole staying in his community, and Nipsey Hussle also. And that's good because when you're around and you're staying around and you're supporting your community, you're the main example of, look, I succeeded, I got out, but I'm also coming back and helping out. And that's the main thing that you want to instill in people is to, of course, you succeed and the community built you up, but just remember where you came from.
It's important to acknowledge that any change that you want to see, any change that you want to commit to the world is going to require effort on your part. And that effort doesn't look like a one-time thing. It doesn't look like saying what you would like people to think that you're going to do. It means really committing to it, and it means to take the time out to educate yourself on the things that you feel that are important to you. It means committing it to your personal duty and your personal memory to stay up to date on things and to research how can I be of a change, and to even apply your own life to it. Like Pierre, he had meal swaps in his own family, so he's applying that to a larger scale of how he can take his experience and better other people's with that. And I think that's just the core of it all is you can only do what you know, and we all have unique experiences, so we all have unique things to bring to the table. So I think it's finding what is unique about you, what is your thing, what is something you can bring to the table, and how can you do that in a way that's of course, because we're all human and we all have our own aspirations and we all want the nice things in life. How can we do that in a way that affords us that without steamrolling over the people in our communities and without forgetting about the people in our communities? How can we help ourselves while helping others? And I think once you figure that out, it'll be easier for you to do what you want to do because you'll be passionate about it. And it will be easier for you to help other people because you'll have found a way to do that comes naturally to you. Because I think at our core, we are in a community. We are social people. We do want to help each other. It just comes down to what manner can we do that in, and what resources do you have to do that?
Yeah, I'd say my words of advice would be think of yourself as the most qualified person to handle whatever problem you notice in the world today. Because if you don't, this might sound cliche, but if you don't believe in yourself, you're just giving up, really. There's no other way to put it. Don't think of your goals as something that you're chasing, but think of your goals as something that you're moving towards each day. And always make sure that you're better today than you were yesterday. And I think if you go in with that mindset, you'll feel like you've already accomplished so much and you'll just be in a lot better spirit to get things done.
Definitely. I remember hearing a quote from someone that was saying, not every day might be a good day, but you can get something good out of every day. And I enjoy that quote a lot, and it's taught me a lot. But I say the main thing, going back to what Pierre said, it was just never see the worst enemy that you'll ever face is yourself. And you can see that just in general, whether it's your own mentality, you're always your worst enemy because you will be the main thing stopping you from completing anything you want, whether it's your goals. A lot of people might say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, but it's up to you to actually believe them. And when you do, you're self-defeated. You never want that to happen. So I want to say the main thing for me was there was a quote by Will Smith. I can't remember it so well, but it was talking about fear and that it was an illusion. I don't know if you guys remember it, but that's something that I live by. It's just that it's a figment of your imagination. So
There you go. We recorded a good episode right now, and I feel like this episode will really go to impact a lot of people too. So I appreciate everybody for your words and everything, but not only that, but you're actually doing the work too. I see that when y'all speak, y'all speak from experience, right? From actually doing the work, not anything else, right? So I appreciate y'all for everything that y'all do. I can see that. Well, for one, Caron, that you're going to the university nearby. It's good. That you're all taking those steps, and for you too as well. For actually cultivating your work, right? And for getting first prize at the Afrotech conference too. Congrats, that's cool too. And
Thank you.
so again, congrats for everything that y'all are doing, and instead, I would love to do a part two too. I think y'all have some powerful words, and I think this 30 minutes of recording this doesn't capture the full powerful message that you all hold within yourselves, you know. So if you're all interested in part two,
Definitely.
I'm down with that.